Let's talk about the future of our food. Because, well, climate change is here, and it's putting our food supply under some serious pressure. So, how do we fight back? The answer, it turns out, might be hiding in the DNA of one of the world's most essential crops, wheat. Today, we're going to break down a new scientific blueprint for designing the wheat of the future. And just to set the stage, let this sink in for a second. In the next 40 years, we need to grow more food than we have in the last 10,000 years combined. I mean, wow! The stakes could not be higher. The pressure is definitely on. So when you're faced with a challenge that massive, where do you even begin? Well, the good news is, science is starting to give us a new playbook, a way to get ahead of the problem, and actually start engineering a more secure food future for all of us. At the end of the day, the name of the game is resilience. What we need is a whole new kind of wheat, one that can do more than just survive the droughts we know are coming. We need one that can actually thrive in them. But to really get why this new approach is such a breakthrough, you first have to understand this massive problem that has been tripping up plant breeders for decades. It's this fundamental dilemma that's made progress feel so slow. It all comes down to a concept called genotype by environment interaction. You'll see it called G by E or GXE. Basically, you can think of the genotype as a plant's genetic blueprint. But here's the kicker. Just because a plant has amazing genes doesn't mean it's going to be a winner. The environment it grows in can change everything. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine a superstar tennis player. On a grass court, they're an absolute champion, totally unbeatable. But you take that exact same world-class athlete and put him on a clay court, and suddenly, they struggle. It's the same athlete, different environment. That's exactly what happens with plants. And because of this GXE problem, breeders have been forced to play this massive, expensive numbers game. I mean, just look at the scale of this study. They had to plant and track over 1,800 different kinds of wheat across 10 different locations just to figure out what works where. It's an absolutely huge investment of time and money. So this brings us to the first really big idea from this research. They found a much smarter way to make sense of all that environmental chaos. Instead of looking at every single field as a unique puzzle, they found a way to see the hidden patterns. They call the technique envirotyping. What they do is they use these really powerful computer models to sift through all the data from all those different fields. They're looking specifically for patterns in water stress, when and how hard the drought hits. It's all about finding that one clear signal in all the noise. And check this out. This is the result. All of that crazy complexity from 10 different locations gets boiled down to just 3 basic categories. You've got your fields with plenty of water, fields that get stressful late in the season, and fields where the drought hits hard and early. All of a sudden, this messy problem starts to look a whole lot clearer. Okay, so figuring out the environment is one massive piece of the puzzle. But that's only half the story. Now we need to look at the plant itself, and one very special trait that gives some wheat a huge advantage. It's called the stay green trait. And yeah, it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's the plant's ability to keep its leaves green and working for longer. This is especially important during that final stage when it's trying to pump all its energy into making grain. You can think of the leaves as the plant's little solar panels. Stay green just means the factory stays open for business longer. And we're not just talking about someone eyeballing these plants and saying, yep, that one looks greener. Scientists are using high-tech sensors to track the exact greenness of every single plant over time. This data gives each plant its own unique greenness curve and lets them pinpoint the absolute best of the best. But this raised a really big question for the scientists. Is this stay green thing a real advantage on its own? Or is it possible that these plants just got lucky? Maybe they just happened to flower a little earlier, so they finished their life cycle before the worst of the drought even hits? Is it a real trait or just good timing? So, what happens when you put these two revolutionary ideas together? When you combine the power of envirotyping with a focus on this stay green trait, well, this is where it all clicks into place. To solve that puzzle about good timing, the researchers did something really smart. They basically leveled the playing field. They only compared plants that flowered at the exact same time. And the result? It was crystal clear. Even when you take timing out of the equation, the plants that stayed greener still produced more grain. It proved, without a doubt, that stay green is a real, independent advantage. So, just how powerful is this whole approach? The results are pretty mind-blowing. In the absolute toughest drought conditions, their envirotyping model could explain 75% of the difference in performance from one wheat variety to the next. That is huge.
And what about the stay green trait? Well, by selecting for the best stay green plants, they identified a potential yield boost of up to 1.1 tons per hectare. Now, if you're not a farmer, that might not sound like a lot, but trust me, in the world of agriculture, that is a massive game-changing gain.
Let me put it another way. In those fields that were the most stressed out for water, this strategy led to a yield gain of almost 19%. For a farmer in a drought-prone area, that's the kind of improvement that can make the difference between a profitable year and a total disaster. So let's pull back and look at the big picture. What does all of this add up to? This is way more than just a cool science experiment. What this research gives us is a practical roadmap for the future of farming. It's a true blueprint that breeders can start using right now. It means they can finally stop guessing and start designing. They can pick the right plants that are specifically built to handle specific kinds of drought. It's about creating tougher, smarter, and way more reliable crops for all of us.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The researchers who did this work, they summed it up perfectly. They said that combining these tools gives breeders powerful assets. They're not just theories anymore. They are real tools for building the crops that we're all going to depend on.
And it kind of leaves you with this one simple, powerful thought. We're always looking for these huge, complicated solutions to the world's biggest problems, but what if one of the most important keys to securing our future food supply is as elegant and as simple as helping a plant just stay green?